Hey guys, we're back on Jesse's little Husky 543xp. I do have the carburetor kit here. I hope it's the right one. I've not really verified that yet, but I'm just going to assume that it is. And everybody knows how assumptions go. Yeah, but I didn't think I was going to have to pull this handlebar off, but we're going to have to, and that's laying right beside of my foot on the floor, so we'll bend down and get that shortly. Luckily it didn't hit my rubber mat that I'm standing on and bounce under the desk. We're halfway across the shop and under something else. That was the whole purpose in building this shop, really, is to make this stuff easier to do, to be more comfortable, to make better videos, to kind of pay for itself. So far that's not really happened, I don't think, but maybe not. There we have a handlebar. She is tiny. And I know some of you mentioned they are some identical clones to this. It is different than, like, say, the Craftsman S140 and the Black & Decker saws. They actually have the oil and fuel in the tank back here. This one's got the oil reservoir in the tank. I'm sure there's some similarities between them, but it's not a complete knockoff. One of you guys had said that the Neotech, I don't remember the part number, but said there was a Neotech, maybe a NH843, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. I don't know, you can pick one of these up used, ain't too god-awful expensive. Some of them were. Some people, when I looked, wanted freaking like new pricing. You can pick one up brand new for not real expensive at all, believe it or not. Some of them were. I guess if you went to a dealer it would be, but I was kind of looking at open box deals online. I don't know, I have so many saws, it's just my little stuff rarely gets used. I already have the Black & Decker, the wife's little Craftsman. I have a plethora of other small 40-ish cc saws, so me picking one of these up would just kind of be crazy, really. So probably won't. Maybe later on down the road after I've moved some out of here, but that's what it is. And I'd made that, I call them pointless videos, where I'm just walking around the shop ranting and rambling about things. Guys, I wasn't trying to sell saws. It may have come across that way, but I really appreciate you guys that got a hold of me, especially people that bought saws off of me. Really appreciate that. It keeps me from having to fool with online auction. And I know you guys have watched my channel and seen that I'll make numerous videos on one saw, dialing it in, getting it right. Usually they're pretty good right out of the gate, but every now and then you'll get one that can kind of be a bear. Things just don't add up correctly, I guess, and it don't tick like it should, and you have to tinker with them and squeak every little bit you can out of them without, you know, ruining the saw's workability, I guess. But when I'm trying to move them on down the road, I'm just trying to put a good saw in somebody's hands at a decent price, because I have so many of them, and it helps me to be able to do this, because believe it or not made out of funds. This time of year, the whole dollar part of this deal, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, it does drop down significantly. It ain't as good as it is like during firewood season or so. So, you know, every little bit helps. Somebody sending a saw for me to port for me to work on. You're helping the channel out. Helps me keep it going. And we do appreciate everybody. I ain't trying to get rich off of any of this. Just trying to help people out. This is one part of this I was kind of skeptical on what it was going to be like. And honestly, I've not had one of these particular saws in here. But you know, it's a simple enough design. It is strato port saw, but those don't scare me at all. Got a heat shield, but we do have an internal baffle and a kind of a top port, kind of put you in mind of how like a stock 365 or like a 350 or 346. Hell, there's a lot of Husky saws made that way, but I think what we can do is go in and open up this internal baffle. Boy, she was running rich. Get that opened up and open up this port, and should let this thing breathe pretty well, I think. But that may be in a whole nother video. And that was kind of purpose in today's video, to tear this thing down, see what makes it tick, see where we can find room for improvement. That's always the end goal, I think, in doing this. And if I didn't mention on this, most everything on it's T25 Torx. And we don't want to lose those. That's what I was pulling off the front of that. Except for those muffler nuts, they were a 5/16, which is really common on a lot of stuff. And the T25 Torx is also really common on newer things. I don't know exactly when Husky went to that. A lot of the older stuff, believe it or not, has got that on it. Most of the Electrolux stuff. Is it Electrolux? Is that the name of the company? You guys know what I'm talking about, like your Poland Pros and Huskies, when a lot of the parts would interchange. You'll see people calling Husky saws Poland. They're still a Husky saw. Just because a few parts interchange doesn't, you know, mean one's better than the other. Well, that just felt weird. I'm assuming it was coming up through the gasket, but it felt weird. So it looks like there's a screw here, kind of hid down in there, that I think might have us held up there on that intake. It looks to be that way. I want to get that up out of there because I don't want to pull it up off of there and lose the dang thing. Okay, and there's one directly over here. Looks like right there. Alright. Those definitely have never been out, and we're evidently Loctited in. Let me get that one. Like I've said before, you want to push lines off if at all possible. There we go, there we got it. Pretty simple design, really. Run a good oil mix on that thing and some good oil, man. That piston is coated. See guys, those kind of look similar to what you would find on an old Poland Pro. Okay, we're down to the intake boot. To get your flange off, you just kind of squeeze that intake boot and take the flange off. It's, when you look at it, you know, and that's for somebody that might have one of these and wanting to do a port job on it. And as far as this cylinder, other than the Strato, it is really similar to the Craftsman or the Black & Decker. I honestly think the Black & Decker cylinder may be closer to it. Intake on this is a little better. The Craftsman and Black & Deckers have that little bitty teeny tiny triangle looking cylinder, but I'm sure there's a lot of similarities between the saws. I don't know. Guys, you have to excuse background noise in these videos. I've got to have the air going. This is like some of the hottest weather. Usually one of the first things we remove. Battery sounds really healthy. It's probably going to show me how healthy it is on the flywheel side. By now maybe you've seen some of the 034 videos. Boy, this thing's tiny. It's funny at how many parts that they have carried over the years. I'm pretty sure that's the same clutch. It's like on some of the old again Pull'em Pros, like a Husky 41, 141, 36, 136. You guys know the saws I'm talking about, but man, it looks awful similar. May not be, but kind of looks like it by without removing it. I'm gonna pull the flywheel if I hadn't mentioned that already for the timing advance. We'll go really mild on that. That'll be in a future video. By the time you guys have seen this thing run, hell, it'll probably be on its way back home or back home. But when you see these videos, it's possible it was shot a week or so before you even see it. Boy, that thing's making me look just stupid. Maybe I can just turn it upside down and it'll fall off. You know, fingernails. Couldn't get it up off of there. I don't really want to beat the hell out of that, so I'm hoping I can use my scrunch trick. This scrunch might not work. There's not much of a T to it to kind of twist. End up having to frill at the hammer. Sometimes it'll work. I'm gonna grab another T-handle to where I can get more leverage. I bought like 10 of these from Farmer Tech, and they're scattered like between my truck, my dad's. I've got a little bag put together to carry in and out of the woods. Just seems I can rarely find anything. I'd much rather do this than it's loose than to sit and beat the hell out of it. Looks like I about had it with the other one. Shouldn't have gave up, I guess. And this one has the keyway in the crankshaft. What's funny is a lot of the older 3 Series stuff, like a 372 and some of the 272s, maybe all the dang keys in the flywheel like a homeowner saw. Yeah, it's kind of funny how they change things back and forth over the years. Alright guys, quick look at the cylinder. We'll wrap this up. Merely just a teardown video. The last video on it, which was about 2 videos back, we removed the carburetor and diagnosed that it needed a kit put in it. Which, like I said, it's laying right here. Kind of a costly little kit, to be honest with you, but it is what it is. I didn't want to put the Chinese kit in the thing. I've got the good OEM kit. But quad port design, really similar to that Black & Decker cylinder, to be honest with you, all but the Stratos. And we're not afraid of Strato ports here. I can work with that. I know what to do to make them work. Tiny exhaust port, so you guys that like to see some grinding, you probably see a little bit of grinding on this one. So you guys stay tuned, turn that bell on. Always give us a thumbs up if you can remember. I get it, I forget a lot. I'll get into a video, and if I said I gave a thumbs up on everything I watched, I would be a liar, because a lot of times you just get caught up in watching the stuff and don't remember to do so. So anyway, maybe this helped someone. Maybe I didn't bore you to death. Next one we'll get into dialing into squish. May just, you know, kind of do like we've been doing some of the videos, and just go over it and kind of show you what I'm going to do to it, and They're wearing a piece of wood. I've got to make sure I've got a bar and chain for this. I should have. I know there's actually a little bitty Husky mount for like the top handles and stuff that's similar to what the Echoes use. I actually had to buy a bar and chain, and it ain't the greatest in the world. It's just something cheap I picked up, but looking at that, it kind of looks like that Poland design, so I've got dozens of those things laying around, so that's no worries. But anyway, guys, I'll quit running my jaw. Y'all have a good one.